Seeing the small is called brightness. That little saying is taken from an ancient Chinese text called the Tao Te Ching, and it can serve as a little remedy to what seems to be one of the problems of the 21st century's culture trap. That is, falling into a mindset where you believe that you don't have enough. That what you have, however big, however small, isn't enough. It isn't enough to be happy with yourself and your life. And therefore, you need more to be happy. Successful, loved, appreciated, etc. A trap where you never feel satisfied with what you have, no matter what you have. More likes on social media, more followers, more friends, more hookups, more food, better clothes, a better phone, better laptop, better hookups, better social life, etc. I've done a similar episode to this one based on another one of the Chinese classics, the Zhongzi, episode 7. Check it out if you want to. But what I want to talk about is this notion that what you have isn't enough. It's a trap that it's very, very easy to fall into in the day and age in which I'm recording this. And when you think of it historically speaking, it's kind of bizarre that so many people are suffering from this mental trap today. Considering if you are listening to this podcast, it's probable that you have heated housing, Wi-Fi, clean water, and easy access to food, modern medicine, modern education, political and human rights, etc. To live in the West in the 21st century is to live in the epoch of abundance, if you think of it in historical terms. Yet, so many people are finding that they're unhappy because this general sense, this general direction we are told to go in, people are finding that they cannot consume themselves into happiness, not a lasting happiness anyway. Where the quick thrills they do get from exciting television or binging TV shows, TikToks, hookups, fast food, porn, nights out, video games. These thrills never seem to last. It inevitably fades. Sooner rather than later most of the time, leaving people depleted and requires them to jump back onto the hamster wheel to pursue the next buzz. Quote unquote buzz. The joys that we do find in these modern sources of consumption seem to be exciting in the moment. They also inspire lust and desire at the very thought of them. But once you've done them, you're never quite satiated, right? On the way to the drive-thru, right? You are absolutely stoked. You're watering in the mouth. But when you finish the fast food, you're never truly happy. You either find yourself wanting to go for another round at the drive-thru to get another burger, or 3. Or you feel so physically sick by the junk you've just eaten, you deeply regret the decision in the first place. Just as porn, just as alcohol, just as video games, just as binging television shows, once you've finished consuming it, you always find yourself craving more. And the more you consume, the more you need. And the more you need, the more you consume. Right? It's never enough. It's this empty, cyclical pursuit of desire that never truly fulfills you. And this may be familiar to you. Maybe it's familiar to your past. Maybe you will find yourself feeling like this in the future. So, what solution does philosophy offer to this sickness? This often addiction-fueled subconscious compulsion to consume more and more, this never-ending attempt to consume your way to happiness. Well, it actually offers the perfect solace in contradiction to this terrible state of insatiability. It offers a complete alternative, a sustainable, truly fulfilling, lasting happiness, in opposition to this awful trap. And it's touched upon by all of the great philosophers across the globe, across all cultures and across all of history. The concept of gratitude. And let me explain using an example. Here is a classic Stoic practice that philosophers used to do. Sometimes, irregularly, they would intentionally sleep on the floor, without pillows, without blankets, instead of their bed, which they did have. They would sleep on the cold, hard ground with no pillows, no blankets, no comfort. What for? Why would you do that? Well, they did it so that the next day they would truly understand and appreciate what comfort and softness and what luxury it is to simply have a bed to sleep in. They would understand it in the realist sense, not just logically agreeing and using words saying, yes, I do understand. They truly felt it. That is why. And they truly felt that gratitude. Because they would expose themselves to discomfort and familiarize themselves with extremely limiting situations, just so they could truly appreciate what they do have. And this is across the board here, and what Seneca sometimes writes is you should form a relationship with poverty so that A, you're not afraid of it, and B, you can, again, in the realist sense, appreciate what you do have. So you see how simply having a bed can be such a luxury. Yet, I'm sure, dear listener, it's something you take for granted every night and every day. So you see, it's about perspective. It's about perspective. It's how we view things that determines our happiness, not the other way around. Happiness isn't an objective state in the external world that once you get there, once you tick some boxes, then you're happy. No, that isn't how it works. It's the other way round. It's about your perspective on things which determines your happiness. It is how you view things that determines your happiness. And of course, you don't need to put yourself through all of that to feel happy. But that's what gratitude is, realizing what luxury it is to simply have the essentials of life, like a bed, like food, like water, like shelter. Truly appreciating and contenting yourself with the essentials and also what you do have, no matter how small society may deem it be. Whether it is just a bed to sleep in at night, realize what an absolute luxury that is, to have the warmth and the coziness and the softness of a bed to rest in every night. And you can apply this principle to everything, right? When was the last time you appreciated your eyesight? Let's say maybe you don't even have good eyesight, you have to wear contacts or really strong glasses. When was the last time you appreciated what eyesight you do have left? Even if it isn't perfect, the bit that you do have left. Do you appreciate that? And if, on the very slim chance you're listening to this podcast and you're blind, appreciating that at least you can still hear. These are extreme examples, of course, that you don't have to think about every single day, but these are just to prove my point. You see what I mean? There is always something you can appreciate having, and happiness is no further than a mindset shift away. Happiness isn't found in your external circumstances, it's found in your mindset. So, how does this apply to non-extreme examples like the ones I've just given? How can this principle help you live a better life every day on the small things? Well, pretty easily. And in a few sentences, here is what philosophy suggests. We find happiness not in chasing after unfathomable desire, which consistently demands more no matter how far we chase, but instead by determining what is actually necessary for happiness and shifting our mindset towards not needing so much, by limiting this unsatiable desire, by limiting our wants, particularly that which is external, to fulfill us internally. Again, a key point of philosophy or Stoicism you will begin to see is not depending on that which is without to fulfill that which is within. This lustful desire you have for pleasure, whether it is binging TikToks, consuming copious amounts of fast food, binging TV shows, porn, dedicating hours of your life to playing video games, realize this is not true happiness. It's a fleeting cycle of thrills that will be gone minutes after you have finished it, leaving you thirsty for more. Philosophy argues that you mustn't put yourself in a position of dependency on these lustful pleasures. Your happiness shouldn't depend on consumption. You shouldn't be controlled by your desire, dictating your happiness to you based on whether you do or do not have these things, or the prospects of these things. Your happiness instead should come from appreciating what is essential and what you do have, limiting your unsatiable desire for more. That is where happiness comes from. Loving what you have. Not being controlled by needs and wants. Not being controlled by pain and pleasure, but being truly independent. Not depending on needing so much to be happy. Not needing a constant stream of external pleasure to satisfy you. Philosophy argues there is a higher path to take, and that is the path of true happiness. And this path begins with recognizing what is truly important in life, what is essential. Like the example given before, appreciating a bed to sleep in. Apply that same philosophical practice to food, to water, to a roof over your head, to friends. If you value these things, these essential things more than anything else, more than luxury, extravagance, abundance, and the fleeting pleasures, if you value these things more, these simple, essential things, you will begin to feel the true, enduring happiness that philosophy can give. There's another quote from Seneca I'm going to include regarding these things which supposedly improve our lives, like extravagance, luxury, pleasure, and excess. These things we often find ourselves chasing. He says, we think these things are ours, when in fact it is we who are caught. When you're on this empty pursuit of desire, you are actually caught in the trap. You are caught in the trap of chasing an excess of wealth, chasing pleasure, chasing women, chasing fame, never realizing that what you have is enough to be happy. We don't realize that we are caught by this shiny object syndrome, like a fish that is caught using bait, or donkey that is tricked forward by the lure of a carrot. Cultivate gratitude for that which is essential: a bed, food, water, a shelter. And then what you already have. It doesn't cost a single penny. It's absolutely free for you to love what is already yours right now. Don't fall into the trap. Love what is enough. Love what you already have. Seeing the small is called brightness.